Hello and welcome to Ask MandR, episode 302. In this video, we're going to be talking about one of the most unique items in my LEGO Star Wars collection, the return of MIDI-SCALE and what that may mean for future sets in the line, how I display or store my minifigures, and much more. So let's get into it with our first viewer question from Scene Track, who says, now that LEGO has developed a sound brick that will first appear in the LEGO Harry Potter Talking Sorting Hat set, do you think that we could also see it get used in some future LEGO Star Wars sets? So I'm sure some of you guys will have some pretty creative ideas for what they could use this for in the comments below. Maybe buildable characters would be a sensible thing for that, like R2-D2 with a sound brick in it. When I saw this, I look at it in the way that LEGO Star Wars may approach it would be as kind of a gimmick in a couple of sets to see how it works, like an AT-AT, like that sort of thing with walking sounds. Maybe even a motorized AT-AT with the sound brick in it would make a lot of sense. And perhaps when you push on a certain part on the walker, you would actually fire off the spring-loaded shooters, and simultaneously it would make the sound for the shooting of blasters on an AT-AT. Like, I think there are some really good, like, simple level possibilities for it like that. Obviously, with the sorting hat, they have gone much farther. The designer posted a really cool video showing exactly how the hat works, and that if you actually put the hat on someone's head, it goes and, like, sorts them, and it's really neat how that works, and there are just a ton of, like, high-level ways to integrate it like that, but you can also keep it relatively simple with something like Star Wars when you just put it in a spaceship and have it make spaceship noises, kind of like a regular toy does. But I don't know if LEGO wants to make their thing like a regular toy, so maybe they stay away from something like that. So who knows? Like, I think there's a lot of potential with this though, so I love the idea. I love that we're thinking about it, but I don't know where it will go, you know? There's a chance they never use it. Everything we see in other themes doesn't always translate, so, you know, toss up there, but it's really cool, and hopefully will get used, but I just don't know. Brave Sir Robin says, with the reemergence of MIDI-SCALE, do you think it has the potential for vehicles that aren't necessarily big ships like an AT-AT, MTT, or even something scaled up like a STAP or Imperial speeder bike? Thoughts? So unfortunately, I think not. I think if you asked me a year ago, I would have told you yes. Obviously, they would make an AT-AT or MTT in MIDI-SCALE. Why wouldn't they? They'd be insane to not do that. It turns out they are insane. So they went and changed the name of MIDI-SCALE. It's not called MIDI-SCALE anymore. It's now called like the Starship series. And for reference, I can only really on the top of my head think of one time that they changed this name of a subcategory for LEGO Star Wars, and that would be with the Master Builder series. They didn't really fit what UCS was all about, and also I suppose to some degree the R2-D2 here is also not a UCS set. It didn't get like renamed into a category. It's just in what everyone essentially calls the buildable character thing, but that's not like something that they like advertise, I guess, as like a subcategory like UCS or like MIDI-SCALE was, or like a micro fighter, you know what I mean. But obviously they still go and clump things like that into different groups, even if it's not like UCS where it says it on the box every time. So in this case with MIDI-SCALE, they have gone and changed the name from MIDI-SCALE to Starship series, which in and of itself is not a bad name. I don't dislike the name Starship series. I just dislike changing the name because it was established 14 years ago. All this does is make it so we can't get things like an AT-AT or MTT because they have arbitrarily walled that off. And we saw this happen with the Helmet series. Now, I think calling it the Helmet series makes all the sense in the world, and they should have done that, and it was what it was supposed to be. But they called it the Helmet series, and then people went around and said, hey, could we get like a General Grievous head or a C-3PO head in this scale, in this series, in this lineup? And LEGO Star Wars is like, no droids, except for the Dark Trooper because it's cool, apparently. Yeah, could they technically make an AT-AT because it's cool in the Starship series? Yes. I just don't see a reason that they go and change the name if they had intended at any point on bringing out an AT-AT or an MTT, etc. in a MIDI-SCALE or what we knew as MIDI-SCALE. I also don't understand why you don't do this name change last year with the Super Star Destroyer. Like, it's really weird to have that 1 year where they didn't like go out and say, hey, this is MIDI-SCALE, but they didn't also go out and say, hey, this is the new Starship series. So I also always find things like that confusing because obviously I, as a fan, like to clump things together and put them into different buckets. Really unfortunate bit of news there that they changed the name and took away like half of the things that people may have wanted out of something like that. And again, Helmet series as an example, we never ended up getting a Grievous, C-3PO, etc. So don't hold your breath. Next from Blake says, what do you think the possibility of that buildable character being Salacious B. Crumb is? I mean, he is a creature and it would be a great tie-in with the sail barge. I think that is a great one. I think that's pretty high on the list of possibilities. It's something that there's a chance people wouldn't recognize seeing it if that, is the case of how it was leaked, that someone saw it, but they didn't know what it is, because that's all we know is that apparently the person that saw it didn't recognize it. That's like the info that's out there from leakers. So we have Salacious B. Crumb up there, and Ewok is on the list. I've seen a lot of people thinking maybe it's the Zillo Beast from like Bad Batch or Clone Wars, I think. And then the other one kind of out of left field, I saw a comment on here and I had another friend mention it to me very recently, is the Mithril from The Mandalorian. That's also kind of like looming as a possibility. So I think it could be a cool set. We just don't know what it's going to be. It could be any of them. So yeah, very exciting set. Anthony says, I just figured out I have a black hair Kanan. Do you think I should sell it or wait for it to go up in price? You just found something that is already worth $300 or $400. There's no real reason to believe anything would come in and make the price go higher on something like that. It's long retired. It's had a lot of time for people to be interested in it. People that want to buy it have bought it or are buying it. Like, there's nothing really out there that's going to push the popularity of it any higher. You know what I mean? So I don't see, if you have no attachment to it all and you're very happy with going out and getting a brown hair Kanan as a replacement for yourself for like $15, take your $300 or $400 profit that you just found in your collection and be happy. I wouldn't overthink this. Some people, I think, do try to overthink stuff like this. It's like, it already has gone up in price a ton. Like, what do you mean? Like, take it, be happy. You got really lucky, man. You take your win. Brage says, seeing people like Tiago get early access to the LEGO Star Wars MIDI-SCALE sets, do you ever regret leaving the ambassador program? Even if it wasn't perfect, did it really have more downsides than upsides? So I think it's important to know that I was a part of the program from basically the end of 2019 to the beginning of 2021. So basically the entire year of 2020, and then a little bit on either side. And during that year, the program was nothing like it is today. A lot of the benefits that you see these creators enjoying are specifically things that I wanted out of the program and was very vocal about wanting and never received, despite in some cases being promised them, like designer interviews. Like, now you see all these creators getting designer interviews that literally didn't exist 3 years ago when I was a part of the program. It drove me mad, to be very frank. For example, when I was in the program, right, the 501st Battle Pack came out. I didn't get any designer interview access for that set. And of all the sets, like, come on, man. And so to see them go and do all of this stuff for these other creators, they literally paid to fly these people out, like, I couldn't get a free interview. Like, it's a little bit maddening to look at. Tiago's a great creator. He's done a lot of great stuff. He's really, really good at videos, definitely has earned what he's gotten there. But, on the other side of it, as one of the most passionate LEGO Star Wars people, I'm a little bit sad to not be receiving benefits like this, or haven't had received benefits like that. You know what I mean? Now, this isn't the first time that LEGO's like flown people out to do a reveal thing. Back in May of 2018, they held an event in New York City to reveal some of the summer LEGO 2018 sets. This, of course, included Star Wars with like the X-Wing, Snoke's throne room, sets like that from August of 2018. At the time, I had about 80,000 subscribers. I didn't make the list then. They invited, a blog. They invited the Brick Show, I know, went. And so events like that have happened before, they have happened since, and seeing this happen now, I really wish I could be a part of something like this in the future. I think it'd be amazing. It'd be amazing for me personally. It'd be a great accomplishment. I think it'd be great for the community to get that sort of access and insight from like literally a super fan that has cared about this for his entire life. Now, as I see something like this going on, I've obviously been successful beyond my wildest dreams on YouTube. I can't believe it. I can't thank you guys enough every day. Just the stuff I've been able to do with or without the company, like, is fantastic. But I always think back to a time before I was successful, because I did YouTube and LEGO YouTube for a decade, not expecting a thing, not, just out of pure passion for the product, pure passion, pure fandom, whatever. And I just remember in 2018, right? My channel had about 80,000 subs and they did the event in New York City. And I just remember being like, oh man, I hope one day I could get invited to something like this. I hope one day my channel's big enough to get invited to something like this. Then the ambassador program happened. So that was that. To answer your question of, do I regret leaving the ambassador program? Technically, I can't answer that because I didn't leave. I was kicked out. I think I would have probably left on my own volition regardless, because the program was really, really bad when I was in it. I have a little bit of self-worth when it comes to what I bring to the table for YouTube and LEGO. And I just feel like I was worth at least maybe getting a free designer interview. I wasn't asking for money, wasn't asking for plane tickets. Not a penny, you know? I didn't even make use of the extra free Lego that they offered me. I do wonder what things could be like if I was treated the way that I see other people getting treated, you know, getting flown out, getting all this early access, getting all these designer interviews. Like, how different could things be, very frankly? Even if it wasn't perfect, did it have more downsides than upsides? At the time, it had more downsides than upsides. We'll see if anything changes in the future. If they ever try to like make good with me, that'd be amazing. But, you know, not anticipating or expecting it, you know. It'd just be nice. I think it'd be good for everyone involved, very frankly. But, you know, at the end of the day, it's like, we're still doing great stuff. And I think being kicked out of the ambassador program benefited me, whether or not it's permanent for life or not. It motivated me to do a lot of things I think I wouldn't have done otherwise. I think a lot of people can get stuck in a rut where it's like, oh yeah, this is all I do now because I'm in the ambassador program. Next question from Random Toys says, I've been watching your content for years. Thank you, sir. And he would love to hear some backstory on my old YouTube profile picture. It was the one where I stood in front of some LEGO Star Wars themed walls. This question also ties into the last question about the ambassador program and flying people places or paying them to do things, whatever, and kind of what Land thought they had done for me, I guess. Well, it's quite interesting. We'll get to it at the end of it. But backstory to the picture. Here's the full picture, legs included. I know you usually only see the circle part at the top, but this is the full thing. This was at Disney Springs in 2019, around the release of the UCS Imperial Star Destroyer, and of course, specifically with that logo, the Rise of Skywalker sets. So if I remember correctly, for those sets, they did a midnight launch, so that might have also been part of why they had that. But they also we're going to have a designer interview there for the Imperial Star Destroyer. That ended up getting canceled because there was a hurricane that never really came through, I think, but it was like close enough that they didn't want to risk it, or maybe one of the designers also got sick, which again, it's just another one of those things like how different could things have been if I had been able to meet a designer that day, whatever, you know, 5 years ago. They had this outside at Disney Springs at the LEGO store there, probably just because of the combination of Force Friday and the Star Destroyer thing. And it was actually in a roped off area. I basically had to sneak behind the rope area to take this picture because, like, was I not going to take a picture in front of a LEGO Star Wars wall? You know, I had to do it. So I snuck behind the little rope area, took the picture and left. Obviously, you know, no harm, no foul there. But I used it as my profile picture for quite a while, and maybe I'll change it back. Maybe I should change it back. I like the one I have now, though. It's like good branding between that and the games. So that's essentially how the picture got taken. I just snuck behind a rope thing. I wasn't given any special access. I didn't get anything special, you know, even though at the time I was a pretty big LEGO YouTuber anyway. But like, I just took the picture because I was a fan and really wanted a picture in front of the sign. And what was interesting is when Lan kicked me out, we're talking, and the guy's like, well, what about that time you're in front of this, you know, thing for the LEGO Star Wars logos? And like, clearly they didn't know me very well. They didn't know my history with LEGO. They didn't know that, you know, the company had threatened to sue me. Maybe they probably didn't know that. Like, there's a lot of bad blood there because of stuff like that. And it's like, oh, you thought they had done something for me? No, like, that was just me being a fan, as most things are. And so, yeah, I always thought that was interesting. It was just like, they thought that like LEGO at some point had clearly like flown me out or given me special access to something to get a cool picture like that. It's like, you know, I can understand maybe why you would think that, but like, no, like, that's just a picture I took because I was able to, and very fortunately able to, because like I never saw it there again. So, you know, it's a pretty cool thing. I do wish I could have gotten that like tarp or whatever they call that. Next question from Jacob says, do you know about the Duracell battery LEGO Star Wars sets, and would you ever buy them? Boy, would I. Yeah, I actually have one. I bought one, I believe, around 2018. It's the ARC 170, and you can see the picture of it here is the original picture I believe I took when I got it in the mail. And it has aged poorly. I have come to a point where I think I'm about ready to perform surgery and remove the box part of it from the battery part of it and throw the battery part away. I know some of you guys are going to be disgusted seeing all these like corroded batteries. Like, I get it. I agree. But I put it in a bag and I haven't worried about it for like 5 years. So I think I need to do that to save the box within it, though, because that ARC 170 box is still unique to that product, even though like the batteries have basically destroyed the rest of the packaging. It's such a unique, cool item to have. Like, I have only ever seen a couple for sale. The last one I saw for sale is the one that I bought. I don't think I've ever seen the Anakin Starfighter one for sale. I would love to get that to have the combo of them, but like, the deal is most people that would have had them long ago would have took the batteries out. And then if you're curious, inside of the box, I believe it's just the poly bag. I don't think there's anything special inside of the box, but I'm also not going to open my box to find out. So, you know, I just believe it's the poly bag inside. Liffy says, would be interesting if they ever did evil clones that are in black. Shadow ARF Trooper, perhaps. Yeah, Shadow ARF Trooper return would be pretty crazy. I think there's a lot of potential there. Maybe more like Bad Batch imperialistic clones would just make more sense because they're canon anyway. But Star Wars Dark Side, you know, a lot of potential. Who knows? Quick and Snappy says, are you going to review the Dune Ornithopter set? And if not, what are your thoughts on it and similar one-off sets? I think LEGO is killing it with these one-off sets like this, just kind of picking a theme, picking a franchise, whatever, being like, yo, this is the thing from that thing that we need to make. All the other stuff, whatever. You don't need to have a full-fledged theme for everything you ever do. Kind of like, I don't know, Simpsons is a good example, although they did a bit more Simpsons than most things. But yeah, just making a set for it, I think makes a lot of sense. It looks like a great set. There's a chance I'll review it. Part of what I'm trying to do with the channel is once a week. You saw it with the Polaroid, but I haven't really continued it since. But basically do like one set that isn't Star Wars, but is like current for LEGO on the channel. So there's a chance, but you know, don't hold me to it. Obviously, I try to do a lot of things and don't do them all. Next from Sploger says, not sure if you've ever answered this, but what do you do with your minifigures? Are you just collecting them and putting them in a crate, or do you have some plan to get them within a case and display them as a wall? So I would love to display them in some way, shape, or form, whether it's on a wall, whether it's on a shelf. You know, it's definitely the plan, but currently they are just in bags separated by year so that I can easily access them for comparison videos or whatever, you know, type of content I may need to make with them. But yeah, right now they're just kind of waiting, much like many of the sets that are now finally just being displayed in my room. They were in crates for a while. You know, now that I've had the ability to finally get some shelves up that can house them, they go there. And so I think the same thing will happen with my figures. Hopefully I'll be able to do a full video on it whenever I decide to do whatever I want to do. I would love to display it though, year by year, every figure from every set, you know, with the set number. I'm very specific when it comes to how I want to display something like that. Next one from Thomas says, any coping advice for someone that doesn't live with their collection? I'm studying abroad and find myself constantly wishing I had access to all my brick sets and figures. I don't think there's a great solution to your problem. You know, LEGO collecting is a very like home-centric thing, you know, or maybe you have an office space, whatever, that you're able to use as well. But most people, you're just going to be stuck within home. I think though, you should buy, obviously you can't bring everything. You should buy like a carrying case, like one of the LEGO Star Wars carrying cases, and just bring some bricks, figures, you know, a couple small sets with you wherever it is you go. That's probably the best advice I can give you, you know, and specifically get the LEGO Star Wars carrying case, even though it's really expensive probably. Like, I think that'd be pretty dope. There's otherwise not really a great solution to your problem. LEGO Digital Designer, maybe if you're just trying to build stuff, but yeah, it's a tough one. Next one from Rexter says, new subscriber here, and first question, when do you think the current TIE Bomber will retire? I was waiting on getting it during the May sale, but don't want to miss out on it. You're perfectly fine. If you're waiting for May the 4th, the set is not going to retire by then. LEGO, I think, retires stuff in July and at the end of December, basically. Don't worry about the TIE Bomber. You know, it's still on shelves and will still be on shelves, I think, at least through the end of this year. So wait for that May sale. Enjoy whatever discount or promo that you're waiting for. That's not one you really have to worry about. Final question from George W. Schroeder says, why do people get so upset at LEGO fans for disliking a product? They're so furious that people have an opinion, like a problem with something like helmet holes, that they simultaneously and ironically are literally doing the exact same thing they accuse people of. Makes no sense. Yeah, it's fascinating that we'll see people say like, oh, it's just a kid's toy. Like, if it's just a kid's toy to you, why are you having any argument or conversation about it on the internet? Like, why are you wasting your time if it's just a kid's toy and you don't care about it and nobody should care about it? Then why do you care about other people care? You know, it's all quite ironic, isn't it? Look, at the end of the day, I care about it. Nothing's going to make me stop caring about it. I want LEGO Star Wars to be as great as it can be, whether that's working with LEGO to make that happen or just talking about it in YouTube videos. I'd love that to be the former, but at the end of the day, like, no matter how it happens, I just want to see the product get better. And like, the product is materially worse in quite a few ways. It's also better in quite a few ways. I agree with you though. I think there's a big problem in the LEGO space with just an entire group of people that claim none of it matters and it's just a kid's toy, and yet continue to attack anyone that says otherwise. You know, it's quite disgusting to see. And it's like, I don't hate or dislike people that have the opinion that LEGO is a toy or they just want to enjoy it as it is. Please do. But in a very ideal world, whether it's, again, working with LEGO or through making YouTube videos talking about it, you know, LEGO's going to have a better product for it. And we're all going to be able to enjoy the benefits of that through this very expensive toy. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, hit the like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, and you can leave your questions for the next episode of Ask MandR in the comments below. See ya.